Hi, my name is Amós Rodriguez and this is Amós Rodriguez Survival. Welcome to my channel. Okay, we're starting a little fishing trip in the Wapahani River. It's the local river in Indianapolis. We're gonna try for bluegill, smallmouth, largemouth, bass. We stop here, we're going to harvest some elderflower. So these bushes are very useful. I use the wood for spindles, for handrails, for fire by friction kits. The elderberries are good, and now the flowers are doing really good. So we'll harvest some of these and then keep canoeing down the river. Everybody's fishing out there. There's Metzi trying her hand at fishing. They've been practicing at home. I put a hula hoop out there and I ask them to cast to try to improve their accuracy. I've been showing them a couple knots. They don't have quite the knots yet, but they're casting better. All are doing really good. So showing the future generations these ways, nature connection, fishing. So let's harvest some of these elderflowers and let's get back on the river. Okay, there are a couple different ways to harvest these. You can shake them, shake all the flowers, and then you leave the opportunity to the berries to come. If you have a great abundance, oh, it smells amazing. Wow. If you have a big abundance of them, like this place, it's a bunch of them that are already turning into berries. I think I can afford to harvest 2 cut in it. So maybe this one we're going to cut it, because this plant had a lot of other delicious smell. Amazing. Hey, Sushi.
What is it?
A smallmouth.
Oh, perfect. Can we eat it? No. What? Oh.
It's a little small, babe.
You just said, you said, do it a little, just stay there.
Just stay there, I said. You stay there, dude.
And then, bam,
Like
right
before
there.
you could finish.
Yeah. We're going to eat this food, then that'll get their attention.
So the smelling fish?
Well, the smell is one way to do good presentation, but it's mostly about the presentation in which how you throw the lure to the fish, how it lands on the water, how quickly you can make the lure do its action so it looks like it's a swimming fish. Well, another spot in the river where we saw a bunch of these elderflowers, so we'll harvest a few more for the elderflower mead.
Look at that fish.
Yeah. A little smallmouth bass. The kids were excited about that one because he was jumping out of the water. Fishing a little bit in this river is really a bunch of smallmouth, rock bass. It's really fun. Fly fishermen love it. So beautiful day at the river, but look at the bugs now.
Can I do one more time?
The mosquitoes are out in clouds. It was a good fishing trip. The smallmouth bass is a really awesome fish to catch in this river. Most of them were pretty small. They all were pretty small compared to other ones that are in here. I caught a couple of good ones in here. So it's time to go home and work on the elderberry wine. Let's make some mead with the honey from my bees and these elderflowers that we collected. Okay, we have the flowers that we harvested in the river. Elderflowers, really amazing smell. I have my container for the first fermentation. Some honey from the beehives. I'm a beekeeper. I keep some hives in northern Indiana, so this is some of the honey left over from last year. And I have a little more that I can scrape from other spots and some lemons. I just wanted to show you some of the ingredients you can use. These are some raisins. This will give you a little body to the mix, and I have some yeast. Yeah, I'm gonna get the yeast. If you don't have access to store-bought yeast like this, you can just use the elderflowers. They have a natural yeast on them, and it could work just fermenting that way. Just add the sugars and the other items you want to add. So we're going to use a little bit of this Mead yeast to help out with the fermentation process. I have an airlock that allows the gas to escape but doesn't allow contaminants to come into the brew. So this is our first stage fermenter. And then I'm gonna put it into a carboy for the second stage, or I can put it directly in bottles, good bottles, depending how it is. But we will start with this process now. We'll get some warm water. All of this has been sanitized, so clean your hands really well. I think we're ready. I'm going to cut the elderflowers. Just gonna take the woody stem out and leave just the flowers in there. I got a bunch of flowers in here. There's hot water here. Whoa. There we go. A little more water. That's a lot of flowers, I can smell them. Okay, the elderflowers, the water. Now I'm gonna put some of the water on this honey so I can clean the rest of this one. Cleans it up pretty good. Oh, making a mess here. I got some of this honey as well. Okay, so we dump a bunch of honey, a bunch of elderflowers. Now we want to lower the pH. You can do it with some vinegar. You can do it with lime juice. We can add some of this in there. Now you can add the zest of the lime or lemons. You can throw those in there if you want. Throw a couple in there. Just wash everything really good and wash your hands, and as long as it doesn't get too contaminated. Okay, now the raisins, so we can give it some body to the mix. Just chop them up a little bit. So I have mixed up all the ingredients. I can smell the elderflowers. I can smell the citrus and the honey. They seem well balanced. If you don't have access to honey, you can do sugar. If you don't have access to the yeast, you can use just the natural yeast on the elderflowers. To be safe, I got this Mead yeast, so I'm gonna add a little bit of it. Maybe you can do it in a couple different ways. You can warm it up to temp in a glass of water, put a little sugar to help him get going and start eating, and then add a glass of water to the mix. It has to be between 15 and 30 degrees, so I'm gonna let it cool down a little bit. This is my tea. I think it'll be a pretty good mead. So that's it. I'm gonna let it cool down, then sprinkle half this packet of yeast in there, and then let it sit for a few days, 3-4 days at the most maybe, and then strain it and move it to a secondary fermentation. Let it be on the bottle and the big carboy that I have. Still, we're gonna put an airlock. That feels pretty good. Lots of flowers, lots of the proper ingredients. This airlock is gonna have a little water in here, so we allow the gas to escape, but the contaminants will not come in it. So that's pretty much it. And we'll check on this in a couple days and move it to the next fermentation, and in a couple of weeks we can start tasting it, I think. Okay, I can smell the honey, the lemon, and the elderflowers. So now we're just gonna let the fermentation process takes place. The yeast is gonna interact with the sugar. You see how it's starting to bubble. There are gases escaping, but it will not allow contaminants to get into the brew. Gonna move it to a secondary fermentation container in a few days, and then we can bottle it. So let's let it do its thing. If you enjoyed this content and support videos like this, check out my Patreon here and my latest video here. Subscribe here. This content is brought to you by Fowlers Making in Mischief Studios. You can check them out here.